Welcome to the AI Applied podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Schaefer. Each week, I cover breaking AI news, tools, and interview experts giving you actionable tips on applying AI into your career, job, workflows, and life. Make sure that you go to aibox.ai, link in the show notes, to join the waitlist for our new AI platform. We're going to be launching an incredible platform that allows you to build anything you want with workflows in AI. So you're able to chain together ChatGPT and image generators and audio generators to make really powerful apps for your organization, or you can host them on our marketplace and actually generate royalties from them. So make sure to go to aibox.ai and join the waitlist. In addition, if you like the podcast, if you could do me a massive favor and please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. This helps me be able to get better guests on here as they check the reviews to see how you guys are liking it. So if you could please do that, I would really appreciate it. Today on the podcast, we are talking about two major updates and announcements on Google tools. And both of these are related to photos and images, one with Google Lens and another that works more with their shopping graph dataset. So on the podcast today, we're going to break down what those are and why these are impactful for the industry as a whole. So the first one I want to talk about is Google's new, it's like kind of like this new AI clothing try-on tool. And essentially what this does is it allows you to take a picture of yourself and a picture of, a shirt or a piece of clothing. And then it is able to show you what you would look like while wearing that clothing. So this entire process is using something called Diffusion. And I wanted to break down what exactly that is and how it works. I think this is a pretty prominent technology used in these kind of image generators. And I think it's pretty important to understand kind of how this works. The first thing I want to bring up is that the challenge they kind of ran into when they were doing this is that, currently the techniques that people have been using to do these, they're called virtual try-on technology. And the current techniques essentially, they do something called geometric warping, where essentially they can cut and paste and then they kind of deform clothes and the image of the clothes to kind of fit a silhouette or your person. But the problem is that the final image is never really spot on. The clothes don't actually realistically adapt to your body. They have visual defects like misplaced folds, and this overall just makes the clothes look kind of like mishappen and really not very natural. So when Google kind of set out to go and build this new virtual try-on feature and this new technology, they were really focused on making sure that they were generating every pixel of the clothing from scratch so that they're actually producing a really high quality, realistic image, similar to something, the same strategy that someone like Midjourney is currently using. So they found a way to do it with Diffusion, and they created a Diffusion-based AI model to do this. But essentially, to understand how this works, you first have to kind of understand Diffusion. So Diffusion essentially is a process of slowly adding pixels, or what we call noise, to an image until they become like unrecognizable. So think of kind of like a TV screen when it's just white fuzz and it's just, fuzzing or whatever. Imagine that, but with more colorful pixels. And then once you get it to that point, then essentially you're slowly removing the noise or these kind of fuzzy pixels completely until the original image is slowly reconstructed into perfect quality. It kind of sounds fancy, but essentially just a lot of colorful pixels are on one screen, and they're slowly pulling out the pixels that don't match the image that is behind until they've reconstructed the image in perfect quality. So right now, text-to-image models like Imagen use Diffusion and text from a large language model to generate these really realistic images, and they do this exclusively based on kind of text to image generators like Midjourney or something like that. So Google actually said that they were inspired by Imagen, and they decided to kind of tackle this entire project with this virtual try-on technology using Diffusion inspired by Imagen. So they did this with a twist though. So instead of using text, like a text input like you would with Midjourney, they decided to use a pair of images. So the input would be the clothing, the t-shirt or whatever. And then the other one would be the person. And each image is sent to its own neural network, which is a UNet. And they are able to share that information with each other in a process called cross-attention. And so essentially, they're generating an output, which is a photorealistic image of you wearing this piece of clothing. And this kind of combination of image-based diffusion and also cross-attention is what they've used to make up this new AI model which is really cool. So as far as training goes to make this, this new feature possible and also as realistic as possible, they put their new AI model through a lot of rigorous training. But rather than just training it with something like an LLM like Imagen does, they actually just tapped straight into Google's shopping graph. So that's essentially, it's one of the world's largest data sets of products, sellers, brands, inventory, all of this kind of stuff. And so they have this really massive inventory. And this is something I've been saying for a while. It's just the fact that Google really does have so much infrastructural and so many data advantages in this AI space, because they are able to leverage so many different data sets that, the sellers of these clothings, for example, have given them permission to use their data and their content, if it's being posted on Google Shopping. So they're able to leverage it to make tools like this that are a lot trickier for other people to do without such a comprehensive data set. So essentially they trained their model using a lot of different pairs of images, and each of those would include a person wearing a shirt, and then they would do it in two different poses, right? So they get the model will take a picture with the shirt in two different poses, and then they would get the AI to learn to match the shape of the shirt in the sideways pose with the person in the forward pose, and vice versa. So they're essentially training it to understand all of the angles and what that shirt looked like from all of the different angles by giving it, two images of the same person with the same shirt, but from different angles. They do that until essentially it could generate really realistic images of that shirt on the person from all angles. And then in order to kind of take this to the next level, they repeated the process by using millions of random image pairs of different clothing and people. And by doing this, essentially, they've created a model that allows you to see, what a t-shirt would look like on a number of different, models. So starting today, I believe you can go and use this virtual try-on tool for women's shirts. And you can use a bunch of different brands on Google's shopping graph. So there's things like Anthropologie, Loft, H&M, Everlane. Over time, they said that they're going to get even more precise and expand to many more brands. But you can go check this out. And if you're interested, Google recently wrote a blog post explaining all of this with some graphics called How AI Makes Virtual Try-On More Realistic. So a really incredible use case in AI from Google, a really powerful, application where you can actually see a lot of customers getting some serious benefits out of this. So I think this is a really cool move by Google in furthering AI. The second story I wanted to talk about today is, again, one that I think is a really big win for Google and for their image generator that I think has the potential to do a lot of good. Essentially what it is, their new feature is on Google Lens that essentially can now search for skin conditions. So Google expanded the capabilities of Google Lens, its computer vision powered application. And essentially, if you don't know what Google Lens is, it's a product that you can take a picture of something and it will tell you what it is. So like if you saw someone, walking around outside and you thought, you liked their sweater, you could take a picture of it and Google Lens would be able to pull you up, where you could go and buy that sweater. So obviously this is a good tool for Google because it can help with their Google shopping experience. It will help them to generate revenue. But it also can do a lot of really interesting different use cases. You can use it to take a picture of a plant. It can tell you what the plant is, a lot of different things. But now you can actually use it to identify skin conditions and search what they are. So you'd be able to take a picture of a rash or a mole or a lot of different skin conditions. And I think this is a really cool tool to really help, people understand if they have some sort of cancerous or dangerous skin condition. Of course, this isn't a replacement for a doctor or something like that, but I think this is a really good idea. If you took a picture of something with this, it gave you a warning. This would be a really good sign to go and see a doctor and get that looked at. And I think this is going to be quite a powerful tool. So essentially, users can now include images in their interactions with Bard, and Lens is going to help Bard in understanding what the visual content is. So, for example, if you uploaded an image of your skin to Bard and said, hey, what is this that I have? It would be able to look at that, use Google Lens to identify it, tell you maybe a little bit about it, and then hopefully provide you with an app creator feature. Now, again, this is, I think, a really powerful ability that Google has, is the fact that they have this really wide variety of tools and software, and by integrating all of them they're able to make some really powerful products, right? So Google Lens has been around for quite a while now. They're adding a lot of these really impressive AI features, but obviously it's been using AI to do image, identification for quite a while. And now being able to pair something like that with Google Bard makes Google Bard an incredibly powerful tool. And so it's going to be interesting to see how, companies like OpenAI and ChatGPT try to respond as Google starts inevitably implementing more and more and integrating more and more of their softwares into their core AI tools and products. And it's going to be interesting to see who kind of the major winners are in these spaces and how this continues to benefit society. If you are looking for an innovative and creative community of people using ChatGPT, you need to join our ChatGPT creators community. I'll drop a link in the description to this podcast. We'd love to see you there, where we share tips and tricks of what is working in ChatGPT. It's a lot easier than a podcast, as you can see screenshots, you can share and comment on things that are currently working. So if this sounds interesting to you, check out the link in the comment. We'd love to have you in the community. Thank you for tuning in to the AI Applied podcast. Make sure to rate this wherever you listen to your podcasts, and have a fantastic rest of your day.